Hey everyone, how are you? It is 9:03. I got there a few minutes late because I was trying to finish something up that we're going to do tonight. And it's for the first time in a while we've got a new mantra. But in order to understand this mantra, there's a story that goes along with it. It's not simply just when we say like the Heart Sutra and we chant the mantra. There's a whole story that goes with the Heart Sutra as well, and we've told a little bit of that. You know, but this one has no name. This mantra has no real name. It is known as a protection mantra from the time of the Buddha, um, so that it's from the Dhammapada, one of the early books and one of the early scriptures of the Buddha. Um, Verse 25, called the Chulapantaka Vatu. Um, it was This translation was done by the Department of Pali University of Rangoon, Burma, back in 1966. I've been trying to find some other translations of it, and I've got one actually from one of my teachers, but this one actually tells the story in better English for me. So instead of me having to rewrite the whole thing based on what he was telling me, we found this, and hopefully you're going to enjoy this. This is going to be a bit of a long one, and we probably won't do the other chanting tonight. But I think it's important because you need to really understand why this mantra is important. So let me wet my throat and hope that my voice holds up through all of this. But first, let's take some deep breaths and let me say hello to everybody. Giovanna, how are you? Let's take a deep breath in, out through the mouth. Breathing in some fresh energy, fresh oxygen. Breathing out all stress, all anxiety, all fear, anger, dis-ease just falls off the body. Hello, Andrew and Miss Gypsy Medicine Woman. Let's see here. Okay, so we're going to start this. Maybe get some mood lighting back there. Okay, so the initial stanza. This is not the mantra, and I will have the mantra when it's time to chant it. I will have it up on the screen, so don't worry about that. Also, did I? Let me see if I can do this or not. Let's see here. Let me go back over here to pages. Oh, no, that's not what I need. I need Dropbox. And let's see here. Protection mantra. Let's see, share, copy link, and so the story I'm going to tell is here. I was trying to get the mantra typed into that before everything else, because the mantra they give it in English. They give kind of an English translation of it. Um, but that's something you can go to. I am B Rimpo Harry to Bartholomew Rinpoche Tulku thing. Yeah, okay, whatever. Okay, so get this just in case. So hello everyone, and here's the here's the long translation, and it is a long story. So just hold with me here. Um, So it starts out, hello, divine timing. That's how it starts out. It starts out, hello, divine timing. And this is an ancient text, and they already knew about divine timing here. So, utanena pamadena samyamena damena cha dipam kayirata metava yam oko nabi kirati. I hate trying to read Pali when I'm not skilled at it. The teacher, while in residence at the bamboo grove, and by teacher Buddha, gave this religious discourse beginning with Uta Nena Pamadena, with reference to the elder Chula Pantaka. Okay, so that is how the discourse begins. So here's the story, and I hope I don't lose all of you tonight. It is said that in Rajagaha, the daughter of the family of a rich banker, on coming of age, was closely guarded by her parents on the upper story of a 7-storied palace. Because of her caprice due to her young age, she developed an ardent longing for the opposite sex, and she cohabited even with her own slave. And fearing that other people might come to know of it, it is said, "It is impossible for us to live here. If my parents come to know of this misdeed, they will cut me into pieces. Let us go and live somewhere else." Taking with them their personal effects, they left by the main gate, thinking, "We shall go live in some place unknown to others," and took residence at a certain place. As a result of their living together, she became conceived. When she was in the advanced stages of pregnancy, she discussed with her husband, "Thus my pregnancy has reached the advanced stage. Confinement in a place devoid of friends and relations would just be courting trouble. Let us go home, or let us go to the home of our parents." Fearing that he would lose his life if we were to go there, he procrastinated, saying, "We will go today, we will go tomorrow." She thought, due to the gravity of his own misdeed, this fool does not dare to go. In fact, parents only wish for the good of their children. Whether he goes or not, I shall go. As she was leaving that house, she arranged the house in order, and informing her next door neighbors of her departure to the home of her parents, she set out on her journey. He returned home, and not finding her, acquired of her neighbors, and learning that she had left her parents' house, followed her hastily and overtook her on the way. She gave birth to a child at that very place. He inquired of her, "What is it, my dear?" "Sir, it is a son," replied she. "What should we do now? The purpose for which we are going to the house of our parents is accomplished on the way. What is the use of our going there? Let us turn back." And both of them, being of one accord, turned back. That child being born on the way was named Pantaka. Before long, she conceived once again. The detailed account of what happened on the previous occasion should be repeated all over here. Because of that fact, that the child was also born on the road. The first child's name was named Mahapantaka, and the other Chulapantaka. So, just a general explanation: Mahapantaka means great Pantaka. Chulapantaka means younger or lesser Pantaka, or smaller Pantaka. Taking both the boys, they returned to their own home. While they were living there, the boy Mahapantaka heard other children addressing their uncles and grandparents, and asked his mother, "Other boys speak of their uncles and grandparents. Have we no relations, mother?" "Yes, son, you have no relations here in the city of Rajagaha. However, you have a grandfather who is a rich banker, and we have many relations there." Why do we not go there, mother?" asked the son. She did not tell her son that the reason why she did not go, or did not tell her about the reason why she did not go. But when her son spoke about it repeatedly, she said to her husband, "These boys are worrying me very much. My parents are not going to eat us when they see us. Come, let us take the children to their grandparents. It is impossible for me to face them. However, I shall take you there," said the husband. Very well. Somehow or other, it's only right that the boys should see their family, should see their grandparents and their uncles. Both of them, taking their sons, went to Rajagaha by stages and stopped at a certain rest house at the gate of the city. The mother sent information to her parents about her arrival with two boys. On hearing that news, they said thus: "In this round of rebirths, there is no one who has not been a son or a daughter. But since they have offended us so greatly, it is impossible for us to have them in our presence. Let the two take this much wealth and go and live where they please, but let them send the boys here." So now you see where the story is going. These boys are going with their grandfather. They took the wealth sent by the parents and sent the boys after entrusting them to the messengers who had come. The boys grew up in the home of the grandparents, one of them, Chulapantaka, being very young. Only Mahapantaka used to go with his grandfather to listen to religious discourses while visiting the teacher regularly. So, once again, the teacher that they're referencing here is the Buddha. Um, he developed an inclination to become a monk, and he said to his grandfather, "If you would give me permission, I should like to become a monk. What do you say, dear? Uh, for me, your renunciation is preferable to that of the people of the world. If you can undertake to do so, do it." Saying so, he took himself to the master, and being asked, "What householder have you got a child?" He replied, "Yes, your reverence. This is my grandson, who wants to become a monk under you." The master gave orders to a monk who practices the vow of living on alms to be obtained by begging and saying, "Admit him into the order." The elder taught him a 5-item meditation ending with the skin and initiated him. He mastered many teachings of the Buddha, and when he attained the right age, he was fully ordained, and carrying out the subject of meditation with careful attention, he had attained arahantship. So while living in the bliss of meditation and the fruition, he thought thus, would it not be possible to give this bliss to Chulapantaka? Then approaching the banker, the grandfather, he said, "If you would permit, may I admit him into the order?" And his grandfather said yes. "O venerable one," the banker was well known to be very devoted to the teachings of the master, and when he was asked the sons of which daughters were these, he felt ashamed to say that they were the sons of the daughter who had run away, and he gladly admitted them to become monks. Sorry, my reading is not so good. It's been a while since I've read out loud like this. So the elder admitted him into the order and established him in the moral precepts. Soon after his admission into the order, he was found to be slow in his spiritual progress. He was unable to master even this one verse in 4 months. "Behold the Buddha in resplendent glory, like the fragrant red lotus, the blossoming in the morning, and the shining sun in the sky." So it is said that at the time of Kassapa, the perfectly enlightened one, he was a monk, being of sharp intelligence. He made fun of a dullard monk as the latter was repeating his lesson, and that monk felt embarrassed. By his mockery would neither learn nor repeat his lessons. As a result of that action, he was born dullard. While learning further, he used to forget what he had already learned. Thus, 4 months elapsed, and he was already striving to learn that very single verse. Then Mahapantaka said to him, "Pantaka, you are not worthy of remaining longer in this order. You've not been able to master even a verse in 4 months. How would you bring to maturity your life of a monk? Leave this monastery. And he drove them out. Chulapantaka, out of attachment to the teachings of the Buddha, had never aspired for a life of the householder. At that time, Mahapantaka was in charge of assigning monks to invitations to meal. So if somebody invited the monks to come to their home for a meal, it was his job to decide which monks would go. At the time, Jivaka, the foster child of a prince, taking with him plenty of flowers and scents, went to the mango grove, offered them to the master, and having listened to the preachings, he left a seat, paid obeisance and to the master, and approaching Mahapantaka, inquired, "Sir, how many monks are living with the teacher?" "Monks numbering about 500, sir." "Tomorrow, may you please take your food at my house, with 500 monks headed by the Buddha," said the elder. Said the elder lay devotee. "A certain Chulapantaka is dull and unprogressive in the Dharma. Accept him, I accept your invitation for the rest." Chulapantaka heard this and thought, "The elder, in accepting the invitation for so many monks, has left me out. Surely he must have been disappointed with me. Then what good is there for me to stay in this order? I should revert to a householder life and live giving charity and doing other meritorious deeds." On the next day, early in the morning, he set out to give up his monkhood. The master, surveying the world early in the morning, saw that incident, and going ahead, was strolling about in front of the door by which Chulapantaka was passing by. Chulapantaka, on his way, saw the master, and approaching him, paid obeisance. The teacher asked him, "Chulapantaka, where are you going at this time of day?" "Lord, my brother drives me away, therefore I'm going to leave the order." "Chulapantaka, your admission is my concern. When were you driven out by your brother, and why did you not come to me? What good can there be for you to turn back to householder life? Come stay with me." So saying, stroking him on the head with his palm marked with auspicious marks, and took him along and made him sit down in front of the Gantakuti, the perfumed hall. The master gave him a clean piece of cloth produced by the supernormal power, and said to him, "Chulapantaka, remain here, facing the east, and go on rubbing this piece of cloth while reciting these words, taking on the impurity, or Rajo Haranam, Rajo Haranam, Rajo Haranam." Then, when he was informed of the time, he went to the residence of Jivaka, accompanied by the order of monks, and sat down on the seat prepared. Chulapantaka sat on, looking at the sun, and while rubbing that piece of cloth, he muttered the words, "Rajo Haranam, Rajo Haranam." As he went on rubbing that piece of cloth, it became soiled. And as sequel, he thought, "This piece of cloth was very clean, but because of me it has changed its original form to become soiled." Thus he reflected on that thought, that constituted things indeed are impermanent. He fixed his mind on the decay and destruction and intensified his spiritual insight. Master, knowing that the mind of Chulapantaka was set upon spiritual insight, said thus, Chulapantaka, "Be not impressed by the thought that the piece of cloth alone is soiled and made dirty by the dust. Within you exists dust of passion, and so on. Remove them." Saying so, he sent forth his radiance so that he appeared to be sitting in front of Chulapantaka, uttering these verses. Raga is termed as Raja. It does not mean dust, it means passion. Having abandoned this Raja, this passion, the monks abide in the teachings of the one who is free from Raja, or free from passion. Dosa is termed as Raja. It doesn't mean dust, it means hatred. Having abandoned hatred, The monks abide in the teachings of the one who is free from hatred. Moha is termed as Raja. It doesn't mean dust, it means delusion. And having abandoned this Raja, the monks abide in the teachings of the one who is free from delusion. At the end of the utterance of these verses, Chulapandaka attained arahantship, together with the analytical knowledge and simultaneously with his mastery of analytical knowledge. He came to understand the implication of the three Pitakas. So the story goes that in this former existence, he was a king, and he was moving round the city. Perspiration rolled down his forehead, which he mopped with a clean piece of cloth. The cloth became soiled. The piece of cloth, though clean, had changed its nature, and because of this body of mine, it has become soiled. Thus he developed the idea of impermanence, thinking unstable indeed are the constituted things. Because of that antecedent, the removal of the moral dirt became the supporting factor of spiritual development. Jivaka was bringing forth, so now back to the story with where the Buddha is. Jivaka was bringing forth the libation water to pour as a mark of donation to the Buddha. And the master covered the bowl with his hand, saying, Jivaka, are there no monks staying back at the monastery? Has not Lord Mahapantaka stated that there were no monks left at the monastery? Master replied, there is, O Jivaka. Jivaka sent a man saying, friend, in that case, go and see whether there are any monks or not at the monastery. And at this moment, Chulapandaka, thinking, my brother said that there were no monks at the monastery, I will show him that there are. He created 1,000 monks and filled the entire mango grove with them. Some tending to the robes, some dying, and others being engaged, dying robes, and some others being engaged in their studies, thus differing in pursuits. That man, seeing many monks in the monastery, turned back and reported to Jivaka, saying, Master, the entire mango grove is full of monks. The Thera Chulapandaka, having created 1,000 monks like himself, sat in the beautiful mango grove, awaiting invitation of the time for meal. Sorry, there was a misspelling in here. Therupan, the master, said in person to the person, go to the monastery and say that the teacher summons the monk by the name Chulapandaka. When he went, he said that all the voices said, I am Chulapandaka, I am Chulapandaka, came out of 1,000 mouths. The man went back and reported, Lord, all of them said they were Chulapandakas. Lord said, please go back and catch hold of the monk who first says he is Chulapandaka, and the rest will disappear. So he did as he was told, and at the very moment that the first Chulapandaka answered, he grabbed him and the rest of the monks disappeared. The elder also accompanied that man. Then after the meal, the master said to Jivaka, Jivaka, take hold of Chulapandaka's bowl. He will do the preaching that is usually done after a meal. Jivaka did so, and he delivered a religious discourse embracing the three Pitakas, roaring like a lion. The teacher, rising from his seat, returned to the monastery accompanied by the assembly of monks, and after the monks had performed their usual service to him, he stood at the entrance of the perfumed chamber, gave admonition to them, and instructed them in the subjects of meditation and sent them away. He then entered the Gandakuti made fragrant with sweet scent and lay down lion fashion on his right side. At that time, at about 7 tide, monks from various places gathered together, sitting down like an encircling woolen screen, started to talk about the virtues of the teacher. Thus, brethren, Mahapantaka, for not understanding Chulapantaka's intrinsic worth, expelled him from the monastery with the thought that he was a dullard and that he could not master even a single verse in 4 months. This perfectly enlightened one, through his unexcelled supremacy in respect of the Dharma, helped him attain arahantship together with analytical knowledge, even within a short time of the duration of a mealtime, and he, Chulapantaka, became versed in the three Pitakas and the analysis of them. Mighty and powerful indeed are Buddhas. At the same time, the Bhagawan became aware of the theme that discussion in religious became aware of the theme of that discussion in the religious gathering, decided to go there immediately, rising from his bed, putting on his well-dyed double-layered robe, fastening the girdle like the streak of lightning, donning himself with his upper robe, which was like the red woolen blanket. He came out of the perfumed chamber and went straight to the religious gathering with all the immeasurable grace of the Buddha and with the stride of a noble elephant in rut, and in the heroic mane of a lion, then stepping into the seat well prepared for him in the center of the decorated hall, he sat down on the seat well prepared for him, shedding forth 6 rayed lusters of the Buddha, like the morning sun of the top of Yugandhara mountain, plumbing the depths of the ocean. The moment the perfectly enlightened one did arrive, the assembly of monks stopped talking and remained silent. The master looked at the assembly with a heart full of tenderness and loving kindness, and thought, so pleasant is the conduct of this assembly that there was neither movement of hand nor foot, nor sound or coughing or sneezing. So full of respect for the Buddha and awed by his glory, where I sit without speaking even for the whole of my life, they would not break the silence by speaking first. I should find a way to imitate the talk, and I myself will speak first. And in a sweet and dignified tone, he addressed the monks by asking, "What are you talking about, seated here? What made the topic which had been interrupted?" When they replied, "Such and such was the topic," the master declared, "O monks, not only now is Chulapantaka a dullard, in the former existence he was also the same. Not only now am I his refuge, but in the past existence I also had been. Not only had I made him the possessor of material wealth in the former existence, now too I have made him the possessor of transcendental virtues." Being requested by the monks who were intent on hearing it in detail, the teacher brought forth the past. I hope you're going to stay, but thank you for being here. It does have an end. We're over halfway through the story. Though his teacher consented to teach him, he was unable to teach him anything. Hold on. I skipped a bit. O monks, in the past, the youth who was a citizen of Benares went to Takasila to acquire arts and became the resident pupil, taking instructions from a universally renowned teacher. Among the 500 pupils, he was the one who gave the greatest service to the teacher. He used to do everything, beginning from massaging the feet. But because of his dullness, he could not learn anything. Though his teacher consented to teach him, he was unable to teach him anything. He lived there for a long time, but not being able to learn even a single verse, he became disheartened and asked the teacher permission to leave. The teacher thought, "He is of service to me. I want him to be learned, but I'm not able to do so. Surely I ought to do a return service to him, and I shall compose a mystic charm and give it to him." He took him to the forest and composed this stanza. Gatase, gatase, kinkarana, gatase ahang pitang, janami, janami. And here's the translation. You are transgressing. You are transgressing. Why for do you transgress? I am aware of that. He made him learn it by repeating many hundreds of times. He then asked, have you grasped it? When he said, yes, I have, the teacher thought, when a dullard has exerted himself and mastered an art, he is not likely to lose it. Providing him with provision for the journey, he said, go now and eke out your living with this charm. However, you should recite it always, and so that it does not fade away, he sent him away. At the time of his arrival at Benares, his mother gave him a great reception in honor of him, with the thought that her son had returned after acquiring the arts. At that time, the king of Benares thought to himself, have I any fault in me with reference to physical and other actions, and not finding any deed for which is undesirable? One does not see one's own fault, but others do. I shall investigate among the citizens. Then at dusk, he went incognito with the idea. Usually all kinds of topics are discussed among people when they sit together after their evening meal. If I am ruling the kingdom unrighteously, they will say we are being oppressed by penalties and taxes imposed by a bad and unrighteous king. If I rule righteously, they will speak in praise of me, saying, may our king live long. And he went about skirting along the wall of individual houses. And at that moment, a tunnel boring thieves bored a tunnel between two houses so that they could enter the house through a single tunnel. The king saw them and stopped in the shadows of the house. While they, after boring the tunnel, entered the house and were searching for the goods, the youth woke up and recited the charm. You are transgressing, you are transgressing. What for do you transgress? I too know what you are doing. Gatasi, king karana, gatasi ahang pitang, janami, janami. This mantra. So, the king, after seeing them run away, after hearing his recitation of the charm, went round the city and returned to his palace. Early in the morning, the king summoned a man and said to him, go on, man. There is a youth who has just returned after getting his education at Takasila, living on such and such a road in the house where the tunnel has been dug into. Bring him. So he went to find the youth, and he said, the king summons you, and brought him. The king asked him, are you the young man who had returned from Takasila after acquiring the arts there? Yes, your majesty. Give it to me very well, your majesty. Hold on. So anyway, after acquiring the arts, he said, yes, your majesty. Give it to me. The king is asking for the teaching. And he said, very well, your majesty. May you sit on a seat of the same level with me and take it, which is something that was unheard of. The king would never sit at the same level as a common person back in that time. And probably not this time either, but we'll see. The king, after doing so, learnt the charm and gave him 1,000 coins as a teacher's fee. About this time, the general inquired of the barber as to when the king would have his beard shaved. When told that it would either be the next day or the day following, on the day he gave him 1,000 coins, saying, I have a job for you to do. And being inquired to what it was, he told him, whet your razor very sharp, and while pretending to shave the king, cut his throat. You will be the general, while I will be the king. The barber consented, saying, very well. And on the day the king was to have his shave, he soaped the beard with scented water, and after sharpening the razor, he held the forehead of the king, and finding that the razor was a little blunt, and realizing that he should cut the throat within one stroke, he stood aside and sharpened the razor. At that moment, the king, recollecting the charm, started to recite, You are transgressing. You are transgressing. Why are you doing so? I too know what you are doing. Gatasi, kinkarana, gatasi, ahang pitang, janami, janami. The barber started perspiring with the thought that the king was aware of his action, and being frightened, he dropped the razor on the ground and fell to prostrate at his majesty's feet. Sharp-witted are the kings. So he said to him, Hey, you vile barber, you thought the king was not aware of it? So, he just plays the game. Pardon me, your majesty, let it be. Have no fear, and tell me what it is, he said. Your majesty, the general gave me 1,000 coins and said, while pretending to shave the king, you cut his throat. I shall be a king, and I shall appoint you this general. The king thought that he owed his life to the teacher, and summoning the general, he banished him from the country, saying, General, is there anything that you do not get from me? But now it is not possible for me to look at you. Leave my kingdom. I'm surprised he didn't just kill him right there, but maybe he's got more compassion. He then sent for the teacher and conferring upon him a great honor, saying, Teacher, because of you my life has been saved, and bestowed upon him the office of the general. Thus having brought forth the past, the teacher said, On this occasion I was the well-endowed teacher. O monks, Chulapantaka was a dullard in a former existence. I too was his refuge, and set him up with material wealth. Again, one day when the convergence turned upon the master being the refuge of Chulaseti, a wise, discriminating man, even with a little capital, can elevate himself as one can fan a small fire into a big blaze. Having uttered this verse, he continued, O monks, it is not only now that I have been a refuge to him. In the past, too, I had been so. Previously, I made him master the material possessions, but now I have made him the possessor of spiritual wealth. And that time, too, Chulapantaka was the pupil of a Chulaseti, and I myself was Chulaseti. Thus did the Buddha link the present with the past. Again, one day, they discussed this matter in the religious assemblage. Brethren, though Chulapantaka was not able to master a verse of 4 lines in 4 months, only because he did not exert to put forth the effort was he established in arahantship, and now has become the possessor of spiritual wealth. The teaching having come, asked, O monks, what are you talking about seated together? When told such the topic, he said, Monks, a monk who is strenuous in his efforts in the religious order of mine becomes the master of transcendental dharma. And added this verse, through vigilance and by earnestness and control, the wise man may make an island for himself which no flood can overwhelm. And thus is the end of our story. So, that being said, do we have anybody left? Oh, we do. We still have people here. I'm impressed. Oh, hello, Divine Timing and Andrew. And so, the way the mantra was taught to me many years ago, I didn't have this story. I started chanting it. I had no idea what I was chanting. I chanted it because my teacher said, chant this. I finally, another teacher, a brother of my original teacher, so Master Lim, all of you have heard me use the name Master Lim, is the person who originally taught this to me. Master Lim has been chanting this every day, not only as he wakes up, before he gets into a car. He is the only monk that I know who hasn't had any accidents in a car. Even when sickness happens, the cure for the sickness happens very quickly. He's done so well. He taught this to me and said, every time you get into a car, chant this. And so I chanted it. But then I said, I want to teach it to all of you, but I want to have what it means. Can you give me the meaning of it? And he goes, okay. And he sent me to another monk who taught me the meaning. And then he also taught me where to find the teaching in the Dharmapada. So I wanted to give you the full story. It is a story of protection, because you're saying, I know it, I can see it. You can't hide from me. These are the things that are happening here. So now we're going to start chanting this, and we'll be chanting this every single night now. I'm going to add it into the beginning. So for right now, let's just chant it. I'm going to chant it. I'm going to chant it slowly so that you can follow along. Gatasi, gatasi, kingarana, gatasi, ahang bitang, janami, janami. 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 So now, as it was taught to me, you do it as much as you want or as little as you want. As it was taught to me, you chant it 3 times before bed, 3 times as you wake up, 3 times before you get in the car, 3 times before you go someplace where you think things might be bad. Maybe you're going to a big gathering where you don't know who's going to be there. You chant this to help protect you everywhere that you go. This truly is the gift. It's not a mantra that's taught to everybody. I've searched it. The only reason I know about it is through my teacher and Pali scholars, and then finding it in the Dhammapada. But even within the Dhammapada that they have the translation on, they don't give the actual mantra, they just give it in English. So take this mantra. We're going to do it every day, but take it and use it. If you want to read the story that I just gave you, there was a link earlier that I have that has it. It's a Dropbox link from my Dropbox, so you can download it if you like. And then I'll set up in that same file. I'll go back and edit it and add in the actual mantra. But you've got it here. You can take it. You can screenshot it if you like. Gatesi, gatesi, kingarana, gatesi, ahang pitang, janami, janami. So take it. I'm going to say right now, I'm going to end our night here because it's gone so late tonight. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and do our dedication of merits. May all beings be well and happy, free from all suffering. May any merits we've gained be shared by all. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I love you. Be happy. Thank you for sitting through this. Thank you for joining me. I hope you will take it and use it. I hope that you will take it and use it. Let's see. Yes. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Good night, Andrew. David, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining in. And if you have questions, then bring them to me. Ask the questions in the comments tomorrow night. Let me know, okay? Take care. I love you. Good night, everyone.